She was the kind of woman everyone called strong. Not because she never felt pain, but because she never showed it. She carried storms inside her chest, but smiled like nothing heavy ever lived there. People admired her strength without knowing it was born from years of surviving alone, and she never corrected them. Being strong was the only identity she thought she was allowed to have. She was the friend who held others when they cried. She was the daughter who never wanted to be a burden. She was the coworker who kept everything together when things fell apart. To the world, she was unshakable. To herself, she was one deep breath away from collapsing. Every morning, she woke up before everyone else. She made breakfast, fixed the small messes no one noticed, and started her day with quiet discipline. She didn't allow herself to fall apart because she believed falling apart made her weak. And weakness wasn't an option, not for someone who carried other people's worlds. She rarely talked about her feelings. Whenever someone asked if she was okay, she always replied with the same two words, "I'm fine." It became a reflex. A shield, a habit that protected her from the vulnerability she feared others wouldn't handle. The truth was, she had learned early in life that people loved you more when you didn't need too much from them. So she taught herself to need nothing. She became her own comfort, her own support, her own soft place to fall, except she never allowed herself to fall. Her phone was full of messages from people needing advice, comfort, or emotional support. She replied to all of them. She listened to their heartbreaks, their complaints, their fears. But no one asked her what kept her awake at night, or what silence she was hiding behind her tired smile. She didn't blame them. She had never shown anyone her cracks. She had built her entire life around being the strong one. People came to her because she was steady. If she broke, she feared no one would know what to do with the pieces. One evening, after a long day of holding everyone else together, she sat alone in her room. The house was quiet. Her phone was buzzing with messages, asking for help. She stared at it, feeling a heaviness she couldn't name. Something inside her whispered, "I can't do this anymore." She placed her phone face down and walked to the mirror. Her reflection looked familiar, yet foreign, like a version of herself she no longer recognized. Her eyes were tired in a way makeup couldn't hide. Her shoulders slumped from years of carrying weight that wasn't hers. She touched her own face gently, as if realizing for the first time that she was human. She whispered, "When did I last rest?" But she couldn't remember. Rest had become a luxury she didn't allow herself. The next morning, she woke up with a hollow ache in her chest. She moved through her routine like a ghost, silent, detached, exhausted beyond anything sleep could fix. People greeted her with the usual, "How are you?" And she gave the usual lie, "I'm fine." But that day, something inside her trembled. At work, her coworker vented about their problems for an hour. She listened, nodding at the right moments, even though her mind felt underwater. Her heart was heavy, her breathing uneven, but she stayed quiet. She always stayed quiet. Then her mother called, asking her to handle something she didn't have the energy for. Her partner texted complaining about something small. A friend messaged needing comfort. The weight piled on, layer by layer, until she couldn't breathe. She walked into the bathroom, closed the door, and slid down to the floor. For the first time in years, she let herself cry. Not the soft, quiet tears she usually wiped away quickly, but a deep, body-shaking cry she couldn't stop. She pressed a hand against her chest as if trying to hold her heart together. She whispered, "I'm so tired. I'm so tired." The words cracked as they left her lips. Being strong had become a cage, and she felt trapped inside. When she finally stood up, her legs trembled. She looked at her reflection again. This time, she saw not strength, but exhaustion. Not resilience, but neglect. She realized she had been strong for so long that she forgot she was allowed to be fragile. That evening, she didn't reply to anyone's messages. She turned off her phone, wrapped herself in a blanket, and sat by the window with a cup of tea. The silence felt heavy but honest. She didn't need to pretend in the silence. The next day, she told her partner she needed support. He brushed it off, saying, "You're always strong. You'll be fine." His words cut deeper than any silence. He didn't understand that strength wasn't infinite, that even strong hearts break quietly. Her best friend said something similar, "You're tough. You got this." But she didn't want to get this. She wanted someone to hold her the way she held everyone else. She realized then that people loved her strength, not her softness. They loved the version of her that didn't require anything in return. They loved the comfort she provided, not the person she was behind it. So she stepped back. She stopped fixing everyone's problems. She stopped being the emotional anchor. She stopped pretending she was fine. When someone asked for help, she gently said she couldn't. When someone dumped their worries on her, she excused herself. People were shocked. Some grew distant. Some became irritated. Some called her selfish, but she didn't apologize this time. She finally understood that protecting her peace wasn't selfish, it was necessary. As days passed, the heaviness slowly lifted. She slept better. She breathed deeper. She started journaling, letting her own feelings finally exist somewhere other than her chest. She cried, sometimes not from weakness, but from release. New people entered her life quietly. People who didn't need her to be strong to love her. People who cared about her struggles, not just her strength. People who held space for her softness without judgment. One evening, she sat with someone new who simply asked, "How are you really?" No rush, no expectations, no hurry to change the subject. She felt tears rise unexpectedly, not from sadness, but from the shock of being seen. She whispered, "I don't know." And instead of telling her to be strong, they said, "It's okay not to know." It was the gentlest thing anyone had said to her in years. She realized then that strength wasn't about holding everything in. True strength was allowing yourself to break, to rest, to heal, to be human, and she was learning all of it for the first time. Weeks later, she looked in the mirror again. Her eyes were softer, her shoulders lighter. She didn't look unbreakable anymore, and that was the best part. She finally looked like someone who didn't have to carry the world alone. She placed a hand over her heart and whispered, "I'm allowed to need care too." The sentence felt like freedom. And from that day on, she stopped being the quiet, strong one. She became the honest, strong one, the kind of strong that bends, breathes, feels, breaks, heals, and rises again. Not for others, but for herself.